Gisèle Pelicot tells BBC, "I felt crushed by horror, but I don't feel anger." Gisèle Pelicot, the woman at the center of France's largest rape trial, has told BBC Newsnight she was crushed by horror on discovering that, for years, her husband had repeatedly drugged her unconscious and invited dozens of men to rape her. "Something exploded inside me," says Ms Pelicot, 73, of the moment she realized the scale of her husband's crimes. "It was like a tsunami." In an extensive interview ahead of the publication of her memoir, A Hymn to Life, she describes how phoning her 3 children with the news of what she had discovered about their father was possibly the toughest experience of her life. She recalls the moment she decided to waive her legal right to anonymity, and how she has never regretted that decision. She also reveals she still has unanswered questions she wants to ask her now ex-husband, the man she refers to as Mr Pelicot, in jail, or he is serving a 20-year term. Warning: this article contains accounts of rape and sexual abuse. The Hôtel de Ville in central Paris, with its ceiling frescoes and rich wood paneling, is a far cry from the drab courtrooms in which Ms Pelicot was last seen publicly, during the 4-month trial that shook France. She describes the moment that marked the beginning of what she calls her descent into hell. She had accompanied her husband, Dominique Pelicot, to a police station near their home in Mazan, southern France. He had been summoned for secretly filming underneath women's skirts in a supermarket. Ms Pelicot was taken aside by a policeman, who started asking her a series of increasingly probing questions. What kind of man was her husband? "A great guy," she answered. Had they ever engaged in swinging? "No, of course not," she protested. "He told me, I am about to show you something you won't like." I didn't understand right away. The officer showed her 2 photos of a lifeless woman lying on a bed. They were among thousands of pictures and videos her husband had taken of her while she was drugged. "I didn't recognize myself," she says. "This woman was lying on the bed as if she were dead. There are men next to her. I didn't understand who they were. I didn't know them. I'd never met them." She pauses, fiddling with her red-framed reading glasses. As she recounts the shock that engulfed her, her voice grows quieter but never falters. Police told Ms Pelicot that she had been repeatedly raped by dozens of men. Although her husband had recorded, labeled and neatly catalogued the videos of the rapes on a hard disk, many of the men could not be identified. She was advised by the police not to be alone after receiving this news. She went home in a daze and phoned a friend. "I told her Dominique is in custody because he raped me and had me raped. That's when I used the word rape. It was after 5 hours of questioning that I put words to Mr Pelicot's crime." Her 3 grown-up children, David, Caroline and Florian, also had to be told what their father had done. "I was well aware that for my children it was going to be immensely difficult," says Ms Pelicot. She now believes making those 3 phone calls was the hardest thing she has ever had to do. She remembers Caroline's reaction: "I heard my daughter scream. It was almost inhuman, that scream." She remembers David, her eldest, being in a state of shock, and Florian, the youngest, immediately asking how she was. "They realized I was alone, and that I might do something stupid." For them, too, it was like an explosion. Her children traveled to be with her in Mazan the following day. All 3 have since recalled destroying or throwing out the family's belongings, from furniture to photo albums, in an attempt to cancel their father's existence. "I told myself that my life was in ruins, that I had nothing left apart from my children." Since David's birth, when Ms Pelicot was in her early 20s, her children had been the center of her life. motherhood became a way to leave behind a childhood steeped in sadness. I lost my mother at a very young age, my brother, and my father too, she recalls. So I needed to rebuild everything I had lost. In the interview, Ms Pelicot talks of her beloved parents, whose marriage profoundly shaped her own understanding of love. She was 9 when her mother died of cancer, plunging her father and the family into grief they never truly recovered from. Meeting Dominique Pelicot, 19 years old, handsome, and just as bruised by a tough upbringing, had provided her with a chance to start anew. They married in 1973. We were very in love, and we threw ourselves into life. And we started a family, because that was the main goal for me, she recalls in a steady voice. By 2011, Ms Pelicot had started suffering from memory loss. She attributed this to neurological problems, but she was also suffering from persistent gynecological issues. These were later proven to have been caused by the sedatives she was plied with, and the strangers who came to rape her multiple times a week. She consulted a number of doctors. Her husband was by her side throughout the inconclusive examinations. He was also there every morning after the nighttime assaults. It was inconceivable that this man who shared my life could have committed these horrors, says Ms Pelicot. I would get up and have breakfast, and he would look at me in the eye. And I don't know how he could have betrayed me for so many years. She would later learn that, alongside the drugs her husband had given